Welcome to the Powerful Marketing Tips Podcast, created for overwhelmed business owners who want to build, run, and organize their marketing for good. And here's a brief overview of our guest. Get ready to meet Geoff the Writer. Geoff Strauss is a writer and content marketer who helps people and businesses tell their stories better and communicate their messages more effectively. Since starting his business in 2020, he has helped clients of all sizes on a wide variety of projects. In today's interview, Geoff shares some of his best tips to help you tell your stories better so that you can maximize your marketing efforts. If you've been struggling with getting your message right, then this interview is definitely for you.
Hi, everybody. So we all know that storytelling is important and writing is important. But what about writing those case studies? This is the topic I'd like to focus today with a special guest from Chicago area. Welcome, Geoff, to our podcast.
Thank you, Marlies. Happy to be here.
So please tell us briefly about what you do exactly and how really this writing become your passion.
All right. Thanks for asking. I have always had a skill for writing well, and I always knew that I didn't want to be in the corporate world and climbing through companies and getting to the top of the ladder. That just was nothing that was ever attractive to me. So about 2 years ago, I was coming up on my 44th birthday, and I said, I'm going to be 45 a year from now. If I don't start a business now, I might never do it. So I thought of one of my favorite quotes, which I shared with you, Teddy Roosevelt, do what you can with what you have, where you are. And so I took that mindset. I thought, well, what do I have? I've got my brain, I've got my body, and I've got a connection to the internet. So what can I do with those things? Started thinking about it, and I thought, I'm a pretty good writer. Maybe I can be a writer. So I got a book from Amazon for $13 on how to be a freelance writer, started doing the stuff in the book, set up my website, one of the freelancing websites, got some clients, built a portfolio, and then I started to move the business more towards copywriting, and I started to add in storytelling elements into the copywriting, and I wasn't getting a lot of traction in terms of interest in being this person who could write all kinds of different copy, because that's some people I could do web content, I could do blogs, I could do articles, I could do social media. And people just didn't know what to hire me for. So earlier this year, I made the decision to narrow my niche down to case studies. And that's kind of where I am right now with my business. I'm doing one thing really good, and that's case studies for businesses.
That's amazing. I love that focus you have taken, because I think that case studies are by far the best way, to build the trust, because it is much better than somebody else says good things about me than myself, right?
That's right. That's right. Because if you're just out there saying how good you are, you're asking people to believe you, but you're not necessarily giving them the proof or the evidence or reason to trust you. And that's where a case study comes in, because it's the words of your actual clients saying what they experienced in working with you and sharing their journey from what they were facing to what they realized from working with you. And that's a powerful marketing piece, because then people don't have to wonder if they can believe you. They can see what you've actually done for other people just like them, and they can see themselves going through that process.
So could you please walk us through what the case study really means, for the listeners who haven't maybe heard too much about case studies?
Sure. Case study is similar to a testimonial, but it's a much deeper dive into the relationship you form with your client and how you've taken them from where they were to where they are now. There's a few basic parts to it. You have the opening, which is kind of an introduction to the client that you help, the name of the company, the name of the person, what industry they're in, what types of products and services they offer, how long they've been in business, all sorts of stuff like that, kind of just biographical information about the business. So then the person reading the case can say, I'm kind of like that company, so this is interesting to me. Then the next part, we go into what are the obstacles or opportunities they were facing. Why were they looking for someone like your business to help them? and we go into why they specifically chose you versus your competitors, what made you stand out in the marketplace. Go into a section about how you were able to help them and kind of the process of working with you, so people can see what it would be like to work with you. And then there's the results section, which will be what actually did you gain or benefit from the investment in working with this business. And then there's a kind of a cheerleader section, which is where I'll ask your client to say some really good things that they remember about working with you, just what stands out in their memory about the experience. So there'll be just this real nice quote from a real person saying, this is why Maralise is great and why you should hire her. And then, of course, it's going to end with a call to action, either, come to my website to learn more, or get on my calendar and let's have a meeting. Go to my social media sites. I mean, whatever you want people to do next, that's kind of the clincher, because that's what you really want to do, is move them into the next step of working with you. So that's kind of the basics of a good case study. And they tend to run between 500 and 1,000 words, so they're a little bit longer than a typical testimonial, which is 2 to 3 sentences. And it'll be a nice, real polished document, some graphics, and just real sharp looking, polished piece that you can use for your marketing.
It sounds, first to me, it sounded like a very long piece of writing, but at the same time, I think that's good, because you might use, the longer version, let's say in your website, but you can use those shorter cutouts or pieces, really, in your social media, or I don't know, in your videos you're using, or can you talk about the output, really? What are the pieces we can use here?
Sure. Yeah, it's a very versatile document. As you were saying, you can cut out pieces and use it in different places if that's something you want to do. You can put it onto your website. You can put it into a PDF document so that people can download it. You can use it as like a lead generator. You can put it into your email marketing campaigns. You can create flyers. If you go to live networking events and you want to hand out flyers about your business, it could be a good marketing piece for live and in-person marketing. And it's something that's good for the lifetime of your business. So the one-time investment, typically I found that at the price point that I use, even if it even turns one lead into a client, people are making more return than what they're investing on this piece of marketing. So it's a very cost-effective piece of marketing.
But let's talk about the effort that it really requires from the other side. I mean, from my client. So how does it work? I mean, the process. Is it so that you will spend a day with them so that they could tell you all about what were the what happened along the collaboration, or how it works?
Sure. And this is kind of a great thing about it, because I keep my client, who is the business that hired me, and their client in mind. And I try to minimize the time and effort that they have to put into this. I make it as easy as possible for them to be part of the process. So when you hire me, we will have a conversation. You will then go to your client and say, hey, I'd love for you to be part of my marketing. I'd like to put Geoff in touch with you. He'd like to write a case study about our experience together. Would it be okay if he got in touch with you? And when your client gives the okay, you come to me and say that everything is ready to go. Here's the email address. I'll send out an introduction saying, hi, I'm Geoff. I'm working for so-and-so, and I'll be doing this case study. They said it was okay if I contacted you. And then I will send out a questionnaire, a Google form. And so that way, your client doesn't have to schedule time, spend a whole day, anything like this and that. It's a very thorough questionnaire, and they can just do it at their leisure and send it back to me whenever it's good for them. So there's no real time pressure on them. And then as soon as I get all the information back in that form from your client, it takes me about 1 to 2 days to generate the actual case study and give it to you to use in your marketing.
But do you do that also over the video call or something? Because for a person like myself, I know that it takes, time and effort to really sit down and start thinking about all the sentences I should put down, and maybe I forget something. So sometimes for me, it feels like it's easier to talk about things,
Sure. And that's something I can do also. I found people on both sides. Some people say, my clients are halfway around the world and it's going to be hard to get them on a video call because of timing. So a questionnaire would be better, and just like yourself, some people say, it's easier for me to do a video call. So in that case, I would set up a Zoom or whatever platform is comfortable for them. And, I will use a transcription. I think Zoom has a transcription feature with one of their higher level subscriptions. And there's also, I think, Otter.ai that does video conference transcribing. So the whole thing about the video transcription is because, if we have a conversation, I want to be in the moment and talking to you like we are right now. I don't want to be jotting notes down and trying to remember quotes. I want to have a real good conversation with you. So that's why I want to, because I want to get the quotes right. Because I'm going to put those actual quotes into the case study. So I want them to be correct. So I either need a transcription of the conversation or the form where you actually fill out the information. I just want to make sure I'm getting the quotes right, basically what it comes down to. So it's a matter of getting it from the conversation or the form into the case study for me. But I'm going to work with you to do it whichever way is going to work the best for you, whether it's a live in person or a form.
So let's talk about how to get this information out of your client's head, because sometimes if you ask for a feedback, it doesn't like pop into your mind, the things you should talk about. So maybe you can share some, ideas or thoughts we should ask from our clients, because for example, what I have used when working with my own clients from time to time, when I call to their clients and ask for a feedback, then I usually ask about what has gone, let's say, wrong, or what bad has happened, and how was it resolved? Because it really says a lot about the company, how they are really solving the problems, because things happen, sometimes we mess up, but, it's the most important is how we solve those problems or issues, right? So What are your thoughts here when somebody's listening to us and thinking, okay, I'd like to use, client feedback, and I'm not sure how to approach them?
I think you want to, because, you want to maintain that. I'm a big believer in conversation and being friendly. Business is business, but business is still just people, right? It's people talking, it's people working together. So, keep it friendly, keep it conversational. Say, hey, why don't we talk about, what we worked on together? Tell me a little bit about what was good, what was bad. Just keep it light. And, I think people in business tend to get into this mindset of, oh, it's business, it has to be serious, and it has to be this, that, and the other, and very formal and all that. And maybe it's called for sometimes, but I think in general, people appreciate a human approach more than the kind of formal, stuffy business approach. For instance, like on LinkedIn, anytime I'm going to have a one-on-one with someone before I meet with them, I go into their LinkedIn, I look at their profile, and I look at their website, this and the other. And I would say about a third of the time on a LinkedIn profile, someone is kind of using this old style of formal, stiff writing where they're saying, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that, so-and-so went to this school, has this education, in this very third person kind of formal, not conversational at all. And it just kind of rubs the wrong way. It's kind of, I don't think it's the way business is being done now. I think business now is more, hey, let's talk, let's have a conversation. We're people, I want to help you. You have this issue. Let's figure out how we can make this work kind of thing. It's not this formal third person thing. I think that's kind of outdated.
That's a very good point you brought out, but how can I improve my LinkedIn page so that it would be conversational? I have no ideas, Geoff.
Oh, well, treat it like a conversation. Pretend you're sitting across from the person that's reading. Pretend your reader is someone that is actually sitting across from you and talking to you, and then read what you've written and think of that if that's something you would say to somebody in person. And if it doesn't sound like what you'd really say, then you need to rewrite it.
So should we use those client feedback? Should we use client feedback also in our LinkedIn about section, for example? Because LinkedIn has this, section where you can ask for a feedback and you can give your feedback yourself. But I mean the about section, which should be conversational, right? So how should we, if we should put client feedback there or not?
Sure, because again, it's testimonials. When you take pieces of a case study and put them in there, that's all to your benefit, because again, it's real people other than yourself talking about how you did help them. And so that's something that's going to help people who go to that about section see themselves as someone who could be helped by you. It's all about kind of relating, think about the best stories you've read, the best books, the best movies. There's always a character you can relate to, right? There's somebody you can say, oh, that's just like me, and that's what makes it good. Same thing in marketing, same thing in case studies, same thing in testimonials, same thing in your LinkedIn about section. If people can see something and say, oh, that's just like me, Marlies can help me because I'm just like that person that she helped, that's going to be really good for your business because people can see themselves as your client then. And that's the benefit of being conversational and making it relatable, is that people can actually envision themselves in the role as your client.
Well, where my thought was going earlier is that maybe if we use like one or two special, let's say, industry examples there, maybe for the reader, it really narrows down that, okay, they are working only with those industries. So that's one thing that comes to my mind, that, how to use the case studies. I think there are some things to think about, that you shouldn't miss the other industries around that.
Yes. I was just had a one-on-one with someone yesterday, and he runs a company that does background checks and screenings for companies of all sizes, small, medium, large. He has some multinationals. He's one of the top 12 background and screening companies in the world, actually, because there are only 12 companies that has the software that he has. And I said, and this is kind of part of when we first meet and talk about how I can help you with a case study, is we talk about your target markets. What are your niches? Who are you serving? So he said, I got about 6 or 7 different target markets, and he listed them off. And I said, we could do a case study for each one of those separate target markets, and then each person in that target market will be able to see themselves as your client because they'll see a case study that specifically addresses their industry. So that's one approach that can take. Another industry that I serve is financial advisors and financial planners. And they kind of approach their clients in terms of life events. Are you just married? Are you planning on having children? Are you buying your first car? So they kind of sell their products based on those different life events. And you can do case studies for people at each one of those life events and use it to sell those certain financial products. So that's another approach in that particular industry that we can take. So yes, I agree. Case studies are more effective when they are targeted to specific niches that you serve. That is certainly something that I address when I meet with my clients.
That's very good. And we don't want to miss, all the other important industries for us at the same time, right?
That's right. And so you can do general case studies. You can just do case studies of somebody that doesn't necessarily fit any one of your target markets, but you still help them. So yeah, you can do case studies for all kinds of things and hit a general audience or a specific audience, depending on what you want.
So, Geoff, be honest with me. Have you met those companies who say that no, this is not like important for me. I don't use case studies.
I've and this is interesting. This is something interesting that I found. I've had to do a lot of education because people don't really know what case studies are, or they don't know the value of case studies for their business. So I do a lot of education when I'm first meeting with people and talking about them. I tell them kind of what the process is with working with me. I tell them the different aspects that go into a case study. I talk about the value, a lot of stuff that we've already talked about here. And then typically, one of the questions I like to ask is, what is the value of getting one more client for you? And if the value of one new client is more than what I'm charging for a case study, it's kind of a no-brainer, because you got that piece of marketing that will probably generate many more than one new client over the lifetime of your business. So it's a high-value product at a cost-effective price.
So let's talk about those values more here, because podcast is a great forum to educate and and to talk about that for the listeners. So is there anything else you would like to add, why we should use case studies? Of course, for somebody who is in marketing, it's no-brainer. Of course, those will, really, these are the best way to show, that you are really somebody people can trust and brands can trust. Best way for me. But, for those business owners who are listening to us thinking, why should I take this? It's too much, struggle, and I don't want to bother my clients with that. And maybe they won't tell the things I would love them to talk about me.
Right. Well, great questions. First of all, in terms of being a struggle for you, as my client, really the only thing that you need to do is get the okay from your client and put me in touch with them, and then you're done, basically, until I send you the final product and you decide what to do with it. I do all the legwork after that. I talk to your client, whether it's through a questionnaire or an interview, through video conferencing. I put the document together, I polish it, I do all the work, and then you just get the finished product. So in terms of time and energy, I'm not putting any more on your plate. It's just a short conversation with your client, a short conversation with me, and you're done. And then you're going to end up with this great marketing piece. So there's not much that I'm adding to your already busy day. And that's one of the values I provide, is that, I'm giving you some great marketing, some really effective marketing, and it's not taking your time and energy, because business owners, like have more things to do than they have hours in the day. So there's that. In terms of not wanting to bother your clients, your clients are going to benefit from it, because it's going to be a short half-hour interview with me, video conference like this, or it's going to be a questionnaire form that I send you and you just do at your leisure. Either way, it's not going to be a large time commitment from your client, so it's not a big deal in those terms. In terms of benefit for them, they will be named in the document, and anywhere that document goes, they're getting free marketing and free press. Wherever you put it, they're getting named also, and they're getting free marketing. Wherever I put it in my portfolio, they're getting free marketing and free press. So they are getting a benefit for a short amount of time commitment.
Of course, and there's a great value for me, so I should take this time, even if it, even if it feels like it's a lot of time, I should still take it.
It's well worth the investment in terms of both dollars and time, because it's really not much for the benefit that you're going to receive from having that in your marketing portfolio.
But would you like to comment on that part, that when somebody is afraid of what they might say about me. Maybe they are not saying, good things only.
Well, that kind of gets addressed when we have our initial conversation, because I'm going to ask you to pick out a client that really, really, you helped, and they love what you did for them. You're not just going to give me any client. You're going to pick one that you really helped, was really happy, and you just know that they're going to say good things about you. And people kind of know who they've helped and which clients really loved them and which ones didn't. So, that's kind of on you as my client to figure out which client is going to say the best things about you and put me in touch with them.
But again, coming back to what I mentioned earlier, I feel like it's very good to talk about, the problems we have had and how we really, by the end of the day, how we got over them and how we managed to, still continue with the collaboration, because it really shows a lot about you and about the company if you are willing to, go through good and bad with them, I believe.
Yes. No, it's very true. So, when I do the interview, whether it's questionnaire or live interview, I'm going to use my skills as a storyteller to try and pull out the good stuff. If I get a questionnaire back and it's not painting a rosy picture of how good you did for someone, I might go back and say, I'll bring it to you first and say, hey, is this accurate? And, what went wrong here? Why are they saying these things when you thought it was so good? So that may actually be an opportunity for you as a business owner to go back to that client and say, hey, I didn't realize that you felt this way. So it might present an opportunity for you to mend a broken relationship. So there's another value there if some bad things come out in the process. I want the people that I talk to on your behalf to be honest, because that's the power of it. It's a truthful representation of the story of how you took them from where they were to where they are now. But I also want it to look good for you, because that's the whole point, is it's going to bring more business to you. So it needs to be honest, but it also needs to paint a good picture of you. And that's what I'm going to work to do.
That's a great point you just brought out, because people will talk anyway, especially if they have some negative feelings around your brand. So I think it's even better if you are, the first one who will hear about if they are dissatisfied with something or with the processes, right? Because it gives you this opportunity to improve yourself and your processes and everything you do alongside the, collaborating with them, right?
Yes. Yeah. And, I have somebody that I work with, and he is fond of frequently saying that there is no failure in business as long as you learn from it and you improve from it.
Yeah, that really wraps up, this, this what we just talked here. That's very good. So I know that really the core of any case study for me, right, is this possibility, let's say, to demonstrate, the understanding of how your business works and to really show the journey that, clients are having with us. Is there anything else you'd like to, add here today? Why somebody should consider to use case studies, what you haven't already said?
Well, a case study gives a much better picture of what you do and how you help your clients. It tells the story of how someone went from where they were to where they are now. And it's just a really nice piece that people can use to say, oh, that's just like me, and I need to get in touch with this business to help me because I'm going through the same thing and it looks like they can help me. So it's just a good way to make what you do relatable to potential customers.
Mm-hmm. That's a great way. I agree with you here 100%, Geoff. So please tell us, where should people go if they want to, connect with you and ask more about writing those case studies together?
Sure. You can find me on LinkedIn, of course. And then I have the website that I've had for a while for my business called geoffthewriter.com. And I have started a new website for case studies called justcasestudies.com. So there's not much there yet, but look for big things to come over there. But those are the main places you can find me. And you might bump into me at online networking events. I try to get to 5 of those a week.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Geoff has also visited our mastermind groups quite often. So feel free to jump into our mastermind. So you might meet Geoff there as well, right?
Yes, those are wonderful, Marlies. Can't say enough good things about those.
Thank you. I appreciate you. So last but not the least, please share and comment this powerful, inspiring song and a quote with us you have.
Okay. The song is called Man in Motion, St. Elmo's Fire. It's from the 1980s. It was used in a movie called St. Elmo's Fire. It was written and performed by a guy named John Parr. And the thing that makes it so inspirational is actually the song lyrics are great, and I'm a child of the 80s, so my head is stuck back in the 80s. But the backstory of how the guy was inspired to write the song was that he was in the city and he saw someone in a wheelchair struggling, and it was just about this story of this guy trying to just do everyday things, and it just inspired him to see this guy just working so hard to do things that everybody else was taking for granted. So the song is based on him observing this other human being doing the best he could and just working real hard to do things that a lot of us take for granted. So that's what I find inspiring about that song.
That's a beautiful story. I didn't know about that behind that song. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. You're welcome.
And the quote?
The quote, yes. Theodore Roosevelt, do what you can with what you have where you are. I love that because it always reminds me that you can always do something. And if you say, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I can't do this, those are just all excuses, right? So you just have to sit back. If you're feeling like there's something that you want to do, but you can't do it, just remember, you always have things that you can do. Like I said, I started my business a little bit over 2 years ago with a book from Amazon for $13.
Yeah, everything is possible. Even how was it, the saying that nothing is impossible because the word itself says, I am possible. When you
I've
think
heard that
about
one.
the
That's a good
impossible.
one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
So thank you, Geoff, thank you for inspiring us today. And I appreciate, the focus you have for the writing, because I think it is so underappreciated, to use case studies in your marketing every day. So thank you for what you do, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Marlies. This was great.
That's all we've got for this episode of the Powerful Marketing Tips Podcast. Make sure to link up with us at our free monthly international mastermind event. Just go to powerful-marketers.com/mastermind for registration. And one thing that would really help us and other new potential listeners is if you would rate this show and leave a comment wherever you tune in to listen. Until next time, take care.